If you don't change these things, you'll never be good enough to marry me. That's what my girlfriend said as she slid a folded piece of paper across the table at the restaurant. My stomach dropped. She was smiling like she was doing me a favor, like I should be grateful she even wrote it down for me. I picked it up with shaking hands, thinking maybe it was a joke. But when I opened it, the title stared back at me in big bold letters. Things you need to change to marry me. My heart was pounding. I couldn't believe someone I loved thought of me like this. And as I read line after line, I realized this wasn't just a list. It was a slap in the face. When I first met her, I thought she was perfect. We met at a friend's birthday dinner, and she lit up the whole room when she walked in. She had this confidence that pulled me in. She laughed at my jokes, asked me questions, and by the end of the night, she gave me her number without me even asking. I drove home with the biggest grin on my face, thinking I had just gotten lucky. The first 6 months were like a dream. She was sweet, attentive, always texting me good morning and good night. She'd cook for me, bring me little gifts, and brag about me to her friends. I felt like I had finally found someone who saw me, who appreciated me. I bent over backward to make her happy because I didn't want to lose that feeling. But slowly, things started to change. It wasn't sudden, more like a slow leak in a tire. At first, she started pointing out small flaws. Why do you always wear those old sneakers? Or, you really should think about cutting your hair differently. I brushed it off, thinking she was just trying to help. Everyone gives suggestions, right? But soon it wasn't suggestions anymore. It was criticism. Constant criticism. She didn't like the way I dressed, the car I drove, or even the way I laughed too loudly in public. If I made a mistake, even something small like forgetting to put my phone on silent at dinner, she would sigh and roll her eyes like I had embarrassed her. I started to feel like I was walking on eggshells. Then came the comparisons. She'd point out things her friends' boyfriends did. Jessica's boyfriend just got promoted. Don't you think you should be more ambitious? Or, Maria's fiancé always surprises her with flowers. Why don't you ever do that? Every time she said something like that, I felt smaller, like I wasn't enough. I tried harder. I bought her flowers. I worked extra hours to afford nicer dates. I changed my haircut. I even started looking into buying a newer car just so she wouldn't be ashamed of me when we pulled up to her friends' parties. But no matter what I did, the bar kept moving. The girl who once told me she loved me exactly as I was now looked at me like I was a project she needed to fix. The worst part? She stopped being affectionate. The texts got shorter. The good mornings disappeared. The little surprises she used to do were gone. When I asked her about it, she'd say, "Well, I just don't feel as attracted when you don't put in the effort." So there I was, in a relationship where I was trying harder than ever, but feeling more unwanted than I ever had in my life. And then came the list. A handwritten list of everything wrong with me. Everything she thought I needed to fix in order to be worthy of marrying her. She handed it over with a smirk, like she expected me to thank her. That was the moment I realized just how far things had gone. After the list incident, I couldn't shake this gnawing feeling in my chest. It wasn't just the words on that paper. It was the way she delivered them. So casual. So cold. Like she had already made up her mind about me. That's when I started noticing other things. Her phone, for one. She used to leave it lying around all the time. If a notification buzzed, she wouldn't care if I saw it. But now, she kept it face down on the table. If I walked into the room, she'd quickly lock the screen and shove it in her pocket. Once, I caught her smiling at her phone, typing fast, then flipping it over the second I got close. When I asked who she was talking to, she just shrugged and said, "No one important." My stomach dropped, but I told myself not to overthink it. Then there were the girls' nights. At first, I believed her. She'd put on a new dress, take forever with her makeup, and say she was going out with friends. But she stopped posting pictures. She used to plaster our Instagram feeds with selfies, food pics, group shots. Suddenly, nothing. When I asked why, she laughed and said, Do I have to post everything? Stop being insecure. But I couldn't stop the thoughts from swirling in my head. Why was she suddenly hiding parts of her life? The distance grew thicker. She stopped holding my hand in public. If I tried to put my arm around her, she'd subtly move away, like my touch annoyed her. Her tone shifted too. She was either irritated with me, or worse, indifferent. I'd tell her about something exciting at work, and she'd glance at her phone mid-sentence, mumble, "That's nice," and go back to scrolling. Nights together turned cold. She'd fall asleep facing the other side of the bed, her body curled away from mine. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly I had lost her, and if there was anything I could do to get her back. One night she came home late, hair a little messy, smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't mine. My chest tightened. I wanted to ask her where she had been, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I just said, "Long night?" She gave me this sharp look, like I had no right to question her, and said, "I told you, I was with my friends." Then she went straight to the shower. I felt like I was going crazy. Every little thing became a clue, a piece of evidence in a puzzle I didn't want to solve. Her sudden gym obsession. The fact that she changed her phone's lock screen. How she started dressing up even when she said she was just running errands. Part of me wanted to confront her outright. The other part was terrified of the answer. I kept clinging to the hope that maybe I was imagining it, that maybe she was just stressed, or that I wasn't doing enough to keep her interested. But deep down, in the pit of my stomach, I already knew the truth. The doubts ate at me every single day. I couldn't focus at work. I couldn't sleep at night. My mind kept replaying her cold tone, the hidden phone, the faint cologne. It was like a voice whispering nonstop, "She's hiding something." I told myself I wouldn't snoop. I wanted to trust her. But trust is built on honesty, and she had given me nothing but walls and excuses. One evening, she left her phone charging in the kitchen while she showered. My heart was pounding so loud I was afraid she'd hear it from upstairs. I stared at that phone like it was a ticking bomb. Finally, I picked it up. She had changed her password weeks ago, but my hands moved on their own. I tried her birthday. Wrong. Our anniversary. Wrong. Then, for some reason, I tried her best friend's birthday. It unlocked. My stomach dropped. The first thing I saw were messages pinned to the top. Not from me. Not from her family. From a guy I didn't know. Their chat was filled with heart emojis, inside jokes, and late-night messages. He called her baby. She told him, "I can't wait to see you again." I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. My whole body went numb, but I kept scrolling, punishing myself with every word. Pictures. Flirty selfies she never sent me. Plans to meet up at places she had told me she was out with the girls. And then the one message that broke me. "He has no idea." Honestly, I don't even feel guilty anymore. I dropped the phone back on the counter like it burned me. I sat there in the dark kitchen, shaking, staring at the wall. A part of me wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it, but there was no coming back from those words. I decided I needed to hear it from her face. That weekend, she told me she was staying over at her friend's place. Something in me snapped. I waited until she left, then I got in my car and drove to that friend's apartment. No car. No lights. My chest tightened. I drove around, scanning, and then I saw it, her car parked outside a downtown bar. I parked half a block away and waited. My palms were sweating. Every minute felt like an hour. And then, there she was. Walking out of the bar, laughing, her hand tucked into the arm of a man I had never seen before. He bent down and kissed her right there on the sidewalk like they'd been together forever. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred with tears. The girl I had bent over backward for, the girl I thought I'd marry, was wrapped around someone else without a care in the world. When she turned and spotted me standing across the street, the smile froze on her face. I stepped forward, my voice shaking but loud enough to cut through the night air. "So this is what you've been hiding?" Her eyes went wide. The guy looked confused. And in that moment, everything between us shattered. The moment I spoke, her face drained of color. She froze, clutching the guy's arm like she could hide behind him. He looked at me, confused, glancing between us. "Who is this?" he asked her. She stammered. He's just. Her voice cracked. She couldn't even finish the sentence. "Just what?" I shot back, my voice shaking but sharp. "Just the idiot who's been paying for your dinners. Just the guy you string along while you sneak around behind my back?" The words cut through the air. People nearby had started to stare. She pulled the guy aside, whispering frantically, but I wasn't about to let her slither out of this one. "No," I said louder, stepping closer. "Say it to my face. Tell him who I am." Her eyes darted everywhere, searching for an escape. Finally, she muttered, "He's my boyfriend." The guy's jaw dropped. "Boyfriend? Are you serious?" He ripped his arm out of hers. "You told me you were single." She grabbed at him, panicked, but he pulled away like she was toxic. In that instant, I realized I wasn't the only one she'd been lying to. She turned back to me, her voice shrill. "Why are you doing this? Why couldn't you just trust me?" I laughed. A bitter, hollow laugh. "Trust you? You're kissing another guy in the street, and somehow this is my fault?" Her face twisted with anger. "If you had been better, if you actually changed the way I asked, none of this would have happened." That was it. The final nail. She had written me a list of flaws like I was some broken appliance, cheated behind my back, lied to both of us, and now she was blaming me. I felt something inside me harden. The love I had for her, the desperation to fix things, the sleepless nights, it all burned up in that single moment. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the folded piece of paper I had written days ago, waiting for the right time. It was my own list. One item. One sentence. I handed it to her and said calm and clear, "This is really helpful." She unfolded it, her hands trembling. Her eyes widened as she read the single line, "Find a new girlfriend." I watched the words hit her. The guy behind her muttered, "Unbelievable," and walked away, leaving her standing there alone. She tried to grab my arm, her voice breaking now. "Wait, please, I didn't mean." I pulled away. My heart was pounding, but I felt lighter than I had in months. "No. You meant every word. And I'm finally done listening." Then I turned, walked back to my car, and didn't look over my shoulder. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying her weight anymore. The night was cold, but the air felt clean. The drive home that night felt unreal. My hands were gripping the steering wheel, but my mind was floating somewhere else. I replayed everything in my head, the first time I saw her smile, the nights we stayed up talking until sunrise, the way I thought she was the one. And then I replayed the list. That stupid list. Every line she wrote was proof she never really loved me for who I was. She loved the version of me she thought she could create. It took me a long time to admit that. I kept blaming myself, wondering if I could have been better, if maybe I should have given her more flowers, more attention, more money, more of something. But the truth hit me in the quiet. Love doesn't come with conditions stapled to it. Real love isn't a checklist. The list she gave me wasn't about improvement. It was control. It was about making me feel small, so she could feel bigger. And I let her. I bent, and bent, until I was ready to break. That's the part that hurt the most, not just that she betrayed me, but that I betrayed myself by ignoring the signs. I learned that if someone loves you, they won't ask you to rewrite yourself just to fit their standards. They'll encourage growth, sure, but they'll never hand you a rulebook that says, "Be this or else." Looking back, I wish I had trusted my instincts earlier. I saw the red flags, the comparisons, the distance, the secrecy, but I told myself I was imagining things. I wanted so badly to save what we had that I ignored what it was doing to me. If I could go back, I'd walk away the first time she made me feel like I wasn't enough. Because that feeling only grew stronger the longer I stayed. And staying doesn't fix people who don't want to be fixed. Now, months later, I feel freer. I don't check my phone in the middle of the night. I don't walk on eggshells wondering if I laughed too loud, or if my shirt wasn't nice enough to stand next to her. I can breathe again. And maybe, just maybe, someday I'll find someone who loves me for the guy I already am, not the guy they want to build from scratch. If you've ever been in a situation like mine, here's the truth: you don't need to earn love by becoming someone else. The right person will never ask you to trade your identity for their approval. She handed me a list of everything I needed to change. I handed her one line back: find a new girlfriend. And that was the most honest thing I ever gave her.